Hello guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. It's me, Big Mike, and I'm coming at you with a different kind of video from what I normally do. So in this video, I'm going to be covering 4 things I learned while YouTubing. These are things that I've learned while YouTubing, but they are not about YouTubing. And this is the second installment of this series. This volume is going to take us from a celebration of all things public domain to a handy operating system to the nature of military tech and finally to a profound piece of ancient Chinese wisdom. And if all of this seems random, that's pretty much how my journey as a YouTuber has been so far. And before we get into all of this, I just want to let you lovely guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls know that I do have a Ko-fi account, and for the time being, anything I receive on my Ko-fi account will go towards helping me to build or to buy a better PC. And so any donation you could give would greatly help out my channel now, and having a better machine would allow me to do more kinds of videos. I could play more high-end games. I could do some different kinds of research. I can experiment with different operating systems and various virtual machines. And I could probably even join in the streams of some of my friends who are streamers. But if you can't or you don't want to, I completely understand. Times are tight and money's hard for many people. I'm just happy that you're here watching this video. But if you would like to make a donation, I'll put a link below. And with that, let's jump into the video, fam. First up, we have Public Domain Day. This first one is a really significant one for me. So if you've been following my channel and my social media for a while, you will know one of the things that I'm a huge supporter of is the public domain. And for those who don't know what that is, Stanford law states the term public domain refers to creative materials that are not protected by intellectual property laws such as copyright, trademark, or patent laws. The public owns these works, not an individual author or artist. Usually this happens due to a lapse of time. The exact amount of time varies from country to country. And that's why the vast majority of public domain works are very old. However, sometimes an author or artist creates something, they may choose to release it into the public domain. I had stumbled across Public Domain Day completely by accident. So I was scrolling through my Twitter feed on New Year's Day of 2023 when I came across a post from the Internet Archive talking about it. I had no idea there were so many other people interested in and passionate about the public domain. I knew I was, and I was the only one I knew. And it probably comes as no surprise, but Mike can sometimes be a bit of an odd fellow. And no, I cannot steam a good ham. So I was quite pleasantly surprised to find out there was a day dedicated to celebrating the public domain. Yet, it's not just about celebrating the public domain, as that can be done on any day. But something makes January the 1st much more significant. Public Domain Day is an observance of when copyrights expire and works enter the public domain. This legal transition of copyright works into the public domain usually happens every year on January 1st, based on the individual copyright laws of each country. So this is the day that works become liberated and are turned over to the people to use as they so choose to. And beyond a shadow of a doubt, the most famous example of this happening was last year when Steamboat Willie became public domain. So every year, this is a celebration of not just the public domain, but those new additions to it. After learning about Public Domain Day, it has become an essential part of my calendar year, just as much as Sage or Sonic Hacking Contest has. And ever since I found out about it, I've been wanting to do a video on it. And I'm hoping this year is the year that finally happens. But we'll see, fam. And the existence of Public Domain Day was not something I learned of in a vacuum either. This pointed me to 2 other important pieces of information. First, this introduced me to the idea of gray copyrighted works. Millions of books published from 1929 to 1963 are actually in the public domain because the copyright owners did not renew the rights. Efforts have been underway to unlock this secret public domain, but compiling a definitive list of those titles is a daunting task. The relevant registration and renewal information is in the 450,000 page catalog of copyright entries. Currently, there is no way to reliably search the entire catalog, but thankfully the New York Public Library is in the midst of converting the entire catalog into a machine searchable format. However, even after this is complete, confirming what works without apparent renewals or in the public domain involves additional complexities. So there are some issues with this, but it is a valuable resource to have, and it's also a valuable piece of knowledge to have as well. And this has given me access to works whom I may have otherwise passed over based on their date alone. So if you're looking for inspiration, or if you're looking for a literary work to comment on, be sure to check these works out. Now, do your due diligence and do your research to make sure, in fact, that it is in the public domain. But this is a great piece of knowledge to take advantage of. And secondly, it's introduced me to the Public Domain Review, an online journal showcasing works which have entered the public domain, often focusing on the more significant, standout, unique, or unusual works. And this is the same journal I mentioned in my first video on this subject, and it was the source of the gynecologist aliens. Now, this online journal has become a fundamental part of my day, fam. It is one of the first things I read upon waking up, and it has introduced me to so many amazing works from the public domain. I'd highly recommend checking this one out. Next up, we have Pewter OS. This next one was yet another one I stumbled across on Twitter and may very well be the most practical and handy piece of knowledge I have learned. I was scrolling through my Twitter feed one day, sometime in the month of May, when I saw this pop up as an ad. And it was one that really caught my attention. An operating system in your browser. Not many people get off on operating systems. But I'm a Linux user, so that means I'm not like most people. I do in fact get off on operating systems. I fantasize about them. Now, this idea had captivated me so much that I decided to do a video on it. And for those who aren't familiar with Pewter OS is an advanced open source internet operating system designed to be feature rich, exceptionally fast and highly extensible. It can be used to build on remote desktop environments or serve as an interface for cloud storage services, remote servers, web hosting platforms, and more. Now, before I started researching my video, I figured Pewter OS was going to be something quirky. Maybe something neat I could show people, but nothing more than that. However, once I got my hands on Pewter OS, I learned how wrong I was. This is an operating system that allows users to do most things they would need to do with an OS, such as writing a document, viewing pictures, watching videos, listening to music, reading books, browsing the web, and even gaming to an extent. Now, by gaming, don't get your hopes up too much. You're not going to be playing massive AAA titles, but there are some fun games on the platform. Now, couple this with the fact that it is probably easier to tell you what Pewter cannot run on than it is to tell you what it can. Now, these two together meant that Pewter was really liberating for me. It meant I now no longer had to be stuck at home in front of my computer to get work done. I could go anywhere I had an internet connection at and work from my smartphone. And not only was this handy for me, but something else that's really cool about this is that it's something that you can also try. It's free of charge and it's open source. So you can try it at the link below and hopefully you'll find it as useful as I do. Next up is the fact that government tech is years more advanced than its civilian analog. Unlike all the other entries in this series so far, this one is unique in that there was no one singular moment for this one, but something I learned bit by bit while covering both the David Grush story and AI. Now, this one may not give you comfort, or it may, depending on how you view this. Now, when I was covering the David Grush situation and was making connections in the UFO community, I learned of a precious fact. Now, the exact amount of years varies, but in general, it's often said that the military has technology that is at least 10 to 20 years ahead of civilian tech. And while that exact number is anyone's guess, there is far less certainty when dealing with AI. And this is the reason why. So unlike with weapons and the like, there are really no public competitors. While with AI, there is fierce competition not only between nation states, but also between private companies. And so it is still believed that the United States military has AI technology that is more advanced than that which is used by civilians. However, those who are interested in this subject feel far less confident in giving an estimate at exactly how far ahead it is. And lastly is the parable of the Chinese farmer. This last one is really unique. I don't really share stuff of a philosophical nature with you all, even though it's something I'm quite interested in. But this nugget of wisdom I happen to have came across has had a tremendous impact on my life, fam, and it came from an unexpected source. So my good friend Zar Khan is my favorite streamer. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because in the last video in this series, he's the Jaguar Man, whom I startled by sharing that tumors can grow eyes. Now he's my favorite streamer because on one moment we can joke and talk about the most absurd and off-the-wall stuff, and the next we can have some real serious discussions about some hard-hitting issues and topics. During one of these serious discussions, Khan shared a story popularly known as the parable of the Chinese farmer, also called the old man lost his horse, but it all turned out for the best, and bad luck, good luck, who knows? Or bad luck brings good luck and good luck brings bad luck. Here, I'll let Khan tell this story.
Yep, there was this man, and the man has a horse. And one day, his horse runs away. And he mentions it to his neighbor. And his neighbor's like, oh man, that's so terrible, Sucks, your horse ran away. Yeah, what a horrible thing to have happened to you. And then the man says, well, who knows what's good and what's bad? So they depart, and next day, man's horse comes back with a whole herd of wild horses. He tells his neighbor again, and his neighbor's like, no, well, I guess it was a good thing after all, got all these horses now. Everything turned out good. And the man goes, well, who knows what's good and what's bad? And then the next day, his son is out trying to ride one of these wild horses, and the horse bucks him off, and his son breaks his leg. He goes and tells his neighbor once again what's happened. The neighbor's like, oh man, it's horrible. Son broke his leg. I guess having those horses around wasn't such a good thing after all. The man goes, well, who knows what's good and what's bad? Next day, army comes to town. They're looking for able-bodied young men to go fight in a war. And they pass over the man's son because he's got a broke leg. Which is good because, son won't be taken off to war and possibly be killed. Goes and tells his friend about it. Friend says, well, I guess it was a good thing after all. You get the point. Who knows what's good and what's bad? That's what's coming next. And, that's the kind of moral of the story here, is that, things are just things are on the straight trajectory.
And honestly, fam, this story has changed how I look at things that happen to me. I no longer really get bent out of shape when something bad happens to me, or I no longer really get too excited when something good happens. Now, it's a popular story, that's often passed around online, so you've probably seen this before. But little did Khan nor myself know, but this story actually comes from a Taoist text known as Dohananzi, and I probably mispronounced that, so please forgive me. But luckily there is an English translation, and if you would like to check the original story out for yourself, I'll leave some links to some translations below. Now personally, I think Zar Khan's telling of the story is probably the best, but these are also worth checking out as well. And those are 4 more of the most interesting things I've learned since I started YouTubing. And you know what? There's plenty of more where that came from, fam. So which one of these did you find the most interesting? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll call the video here, fam. Special thanks to Fran, who does a wonderful job of doing my art. Special thanks to all of my friends on Twitter. I wouldn't be here without you all. And a special thanks to all of you for watching this video. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. And if you like my videos, subscribe and turn your notifications on. Until next time, fam, remember, just be yourself and you'll be awesome. Peace out!